We're going to be looking at the Plaid Cymru Party of Wales' manifesto for the general election in the UK 2024. Let's go, guys. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with another Snowflakes Talks, looking at another manifesto here, and this one is of Plaid Cymru, the Party of Wales, and obviously this is outside my normal political sphere. And originally I wanted to do this as a live stream, but given that there's still quite a lot going on between now and the general election, which is coming up very, very soon, I wanted to at least get it out there. So instead I've decided to put this as a premiere video for you guys to watch along, and then obviously I want you guys to give me your feedback about what some of the key policies that Plaid Cymru are giving. For those obviously in Wales, what you guys think about what Plaid Cymru is offering, what your opinion of the political party, of its leader, and do you think that you will be casting your vote to them? Let me know what you guys are thoughts about them in the comment section down below. So I've had already quite a nose at it anyway. So I don't know obviously too much about Plaid Cymru myself, but obviously I do found that their leader Rhian, I'll probably mispronounce the name. I tried to practice it. I think he had been very, very impressive in the political debates whenever I've seen him. Whenever I've seen him sit down, I think he's been pretty solid as well. And he definitely seems someone who seems like a safe pair of hands to me. Now, obviously, they're a very different political party to the SNP. They don't have representation. They don't have actual MPs in the House of Parliament. So you don't actually see their representation there. And obviously, one of the things is that the country did vote for Brexit. However, the argument in case has been is that a lot of that was diluted by a lot of English people living in Wales as well, potentially as well. The country currently has the worst NHS record in the whole of the UK, which is something that you get here banged on about by the Conservatives. By the way, just for reference, if there's any kind of noise or whatsoever, it's because I got the window open. Understandably, it's quite warm today, so I do apologise if you do hear a little bit of noise. But all in all, I still think there is a path for Wales down the road. Now, there is a path for Wales. Now, the question I think I ask myself as someone sitting on the outside, is Plaid Cymru the answer for the people of Wales? Because while they have had a Labour administration looking after them for a long time, have they always been the right party, right for them? Obviously, I think understandably many people are just discontinuous or don't trusting of the Conservatives, and I'm glad that they see through that. But can the Plaid Cymru be the party, be a party similar down the road to like the SNP has become in Scotland? Can they go down that path? That's a question that I really want to dive more into, and I really want more feedback on, because I honestly don't know if they can do that. But I do think that there is an opportunity, maybe not now, but down the road, more for them to get a voice for themselves. Obviously, one of the things that they are wanting to do down the road at some point is obviously support some kind of independence from the UK. And by the way, if that ever comes about and they vote for it, I would say best of luck to them, because I believe in democracy. If that's something that the people of Wales want, then it should be something that they should be entitled to. Right now, it's not really a discussion really of topics. It's very indifferent to Scotland. So I don't really think that's on the table, shall we say? And again, I'm not hearing about a lot of talk about Welsh independence either. So I'm not hearing enough out there about it. So it's not really something on the minds. But Plaid Cymru have got to win over hearts and minds, and they've got to do it on a local level to show just how much they care. Obviously, Labour, when they've been in power for quite a long time here in Wales, clearly they would not be in power if they haven't been paying attention and listening to the causes and concerns that people are having here. And obviously they've obviously having an impact on the country, because they've still been here. They've still had the overall majority here in Wales. But let's have a read and a gander of what Plaid Cymru are offering to the people of Wales. So it starts off here with the introduction. I'm not going to read every single piece of this, but if you want to have a read of it, the link for the manifesto will be in the description down below. So if you want to have a look there, but this is just the introduction there of what they want to do. We'll start here with the key pledges here. So here is their key pledges. So fair funding for Wales. So secure the $4 billion owed to Wales from HS2 to invest in improving our own public transport and in all parts of the country and reverse cuts to local bus services. Demand a fair funding system for Wales based around the needs and giving us the public service we deserve. There's not really a lot to read in that. Now, for those who are asking what's the HS2, so basically Wales basically helped fund high-speed rail 2. Money money from their economy was invested into it, and basically it's not going anywhere near Wales. So understandably, they would want some of that money back that has been invested into it, because they called the investment England and Wales, even though it wasn't directly going to Wales. Yeah, I know. So I think that's perfectly reasonable to ask for that funding back. Now, whether a Labour government will do that or not is obviously quite a question for them. But I do think that that when money's being taken out of our country, it's not really been in the interest of their interest. I think a lot of people up in Scotland know exactly how frustrating that can be for them. All parts of the country reversing cuts to local bus services. So there's been a lot of basically saying there've been a lot of cuts to local bus services. That's really, really poor, especially if you're somebody who can't drive or doesn't drive within Wales. It's very difficult to get around without local buses. I think that's a key thing, especially in the rural towns and communities, if they're very hard to get to as well. Like that's quite vitally important. So fair play for patients. So fair funding from Westminster enable us to invest in our NHS workforce and recruit 500 GPs into Wales after years of Tory cuts and Labour mismanagement in Cardiff. A new cancer strategy to ensure cancers are caught and treated earlier, and ending Wales postcode lottery for treatment. Yep, I think obviously more funding for the NHS I think is definitely something that they need. I also think they need to look into the management there. Obviously, they say mismanagement there in the Tory cuts and Labour mismanagement. I definitely think there's definitely questions there. Yes, we can always blame the Conservatives for the austerity and the cutting that they've done across the whole of the UK, but also of how Labour have managed the NHS in Wales. I think the questions need to be asked there. I'm totally in favour of any kind of new cancer strategy that helps catch cancer and treat it earlier. Don't think anyone has any complaints about that. And fairness for families and communities. Help 330,000 Welsh families to deal with the cost of living crisis by increasing child benefit by £20 per week. This will take 60,000 children out of poverty in Wales. And readdressing economic unfairness, increasing windfall taxes, devolving the Crown estate in order to create green jobs and build prosperity. I can't really comment too much on this, but what I will say, any kind of taxes that would help grow the economy, I think it's worth looking into. This one here, obviously, there is a cost of living crisis in Wales, just as there is in other parts of the UK, and anything that will benefit them, obviously, will be a blessing to them. £20 per week, is that enough though? Is that going to make the biggest difference? They say it will take 60,000 children out of poverty in Wales. I hope that is enough, but obviously time will tell if something was to come to pass there. So first and foremost, economy and taxation. This is all regurgitation, just saying 14 years of Conservative, blame the Tories. So long as Wales remains part of the UK, Plaid Cymru believes that the role of the UK government in Wales should be to provide enough financial support for our public service and to create conditions for the kind of sustainable economic growth from which all people and communities can benefit, rather than just those at the top of the tree. This is not what the UK government has delivered. Our public services are underfunded and have been hollowed out, and our economy has stagnated. These economic conditions have led to wholly unacceptable rising levels of child depredation, with a heartbreaking 1 in 3 children now growing up in poverty. This is absolutely horrific statistic that 1 in 3 children are growing up in poverty. We have an inequality crisis that needs to be addressed, and we have some key stuff here that they are coming through. For the first one they have here on regards to it is a fair funding formula. So Plaid Cymru believes that Wales should be funded across to our needs, not outdated baronet formula, which instead provides funding proportionate to spending on England's needs. We want to see a new needs-based funding formula introduced in the place of the Barrett formula. Next one is a fairer tax system. We believe Wales should have full control of economic levers in order to grow and green our economy in a way that will have greater positive impact upon our communities. And we want seeded to have the powers to set income tax bands and thresholds, as they already do in Scotland, so that we can create a system that fits Wales' circumstances. At UK level, we want to see the balance of the tax burden fall on those individuals and corporations with the broadest shoulders, bearing the fairer share of overall tax paid rather than those with less means. In recent years, we have seen some industries substantially increase their profits because of marketing conditions and not as a result of their own investment and endeavours. These sectors, which include oil and gas producers and energy companies, should be approximately taxed, particularly when there is an ineffective monopoly or cartel which controls the product. In particular, we think that energy companies should be subjugated to an increased windfall tax, and we will close loopholes in the currently exploited and avoiding this. And at the same time, we will promote renewable energy and investment as an alternative. And we would reintroduce the cap on bankers' bonuses. This needs to be brought back. We did not see this I did not see this in the Labour manifesto. We need to bring that cap back, where bankers they have gotten away with so much, and we cannot allow them to run away with bonuses. That needs to come back. And I'm glad that they are saying that. Plaid Cymru would equalise capital gains tax with income tax, raising between 12 to 15 billion pounds. We would investigate increasing higher earnings and national insurance contributions and supporting a wealth tax, which we would crack down on tax evasion and avoidance and abolish loopholes for non-DOMs. All this sounds good. They will introduce some kind of wealth tax. I don't know what detail of that is, but it may be in one of the other department slots there. But they say they will raise between 12 and 15 billion pounds with equalising capital gains tax and income tax there. So interesting stuff there. So ambitions for our economy. In the run-up to 2026 seeded elections, we will set new targets for the Welsh economy so that we can better understand the impact of our policy decisions and investment choices through their outcomes rather than ticking boxes on process. Recognising the equality of the economic performance of different nations and regions in the UK, Plaid Cymru proposes an economic fairness bill that will make levelling up a meaningful phrase rather than a political slogan, ensuring that the impact of physical decisions are considered on a wider level than just what is best for the City of London. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, more needs to be done. Less reliance on the City of London. Although Labour have said that they are going to distribute more power away from Westminster to local authorities as well. I think that's a key thing to add there. Recognising the challenges of regional inequalities within Wales, we will also ensure the same consideration is given to all parts of Wales to be sure that everybody benefits from the Welsh Government investment decisions. Plaid Cymru campaigned in 2016 for Wales to stay in the European Union, recognising both the social and economic benefits but accrued from that membership. We respect the result of the referendum, but with the Conservatives having let us down our path of destruction, we believe that the UK should re-enter the European Single Market and Customs Union at the earliest opportunity. In order to mitigate the impacts of Brexit on Welsh businesses and reduce overheads and administrative costs, this will help us improve trade with our European neighbours, including the Republic of Ireland, assisting our Welsh ports at Holyhead and Fishguards, among others. Yes, without a doubt, the Holyhead has definitely suffered as a result of Brexit. And obviously they have trade obviously across from there. That's been affected, obviously, by the decision to leave the EU. Now, it says here, re-enter the European Single Market Customs Union at the earliest opportunity. That's what they've said. So they haven't given a time frame that they want it, but they want it as the earliest opportunity there. So obviously they are with their heads on, basically saying we want to get out of want to reverse Brexit, which is another common sense policy, I would say. So this one here, a Welsh New Green Deal. So Plaid Cymru believes that we need to retain the ability to produce primary steel in Wales. We oppose this Tata's current plans for the closure of its blast furnaces in Port Talbot and the impact that these plans will have on jobs and communities in South West Wales and beyond. UK government should look at nationalising the Port Talbot steelwork. Failing this, the Welsh government should explore options for the compulsory purchase of the plant, while further options for greening steel production, including though replacing coal with green hydrogen, are developed. This is something I've actually thought about that the government should consider doing, and that is bringing the steelworks into state ownership, because I really do feel that that the steel industry, especially here, is so important. We don't produce as much steel as we used to, and this is very, very important, not just for the British economy but for the Welsh economy. I definitely think that considering keeping it in the hands of a private company, of the private company that's holding it, it's not serving the interest of the people of Paul Talbot. It's not serving the interest of anybody who works there. And yeah, I 100% agree with what Plaid Cymru is saying here. They should look to nationalise it. They should look at ways of nationalising it. And obviously, how they would obviously go about that, I'm not sure, but I'm definitely in favour of that. We will create a Welsh Green New Deal. This will create renewing, meaningful and fair work with the emerging green and net zero sector. This includes reskilling and supporting Welsh employees and apprentices into these sectors, meeting the associated and demographic change in the manufacturing workforce and the skills shortage already identified. As part of a move towards a net zero, we will establish a Just Transition Commission as well. Yep, I'm very happy with what they're saying there. Development Agency for Wales. We will establish a National Development Agency for Wales, which is fit for purpose as we approach a quarter point of the 21st century. This means a fast, forward-thinking approach which will meet the economic challenges into the 2050s and beyond, recognising the world of innovation, understanding both Wales' needs and strengths, and being agile to respond to the changing business landscape. We recognise that the importance of access capital will reform the reform the Development Bank of Wales, and our aim will be for the bank to take and profit from greater equality share in emerging businesses and invest in infrastructure projects, functioning more like a real national development bank. We also ensure that the Welsh Government has the power to develop a community bank to provide local banking communities services to customers in communities where private banking industries such as the Big Four of HSBC, Barclays, Lloyds, NatWest have left the market, building on the work already undertaken by Blanc Cambria. Yep. Obviously, I don't know too much about the banking sector, obviously, here, but anything that obviously will improve that development of the Bank of Wales, I think, yeah, I'm all for that, obviously. So there's nothing here that, to me, that's so far, like all this economy stuff sounds very, very good. Supporting our businesses. The small business sector is the backbone of the Welsh economy, and we want to support economic conditions in which Wales develops its own range of locally owned medium-sized companies with further developed Welsh supply chains and investment, retaining creative value within the Welsh economy and leading to improved employment opportunities in high-quality, high-paying jobs. Yeah, I think that applies really to everyone who wants something like that. So we support the reform in Wales of the non-domestic rates, also known as business rates, in order to establish a system which better supports our small businesses. We will reverse the reductions in support to small businesses as a result of the Labour Welsh Government cuts this year and amends the multiplier to better support high street businesses such as retail and hospitality. Procurement is an important part of the Welsh economy, creating additional jobs through the supply chain. We will work towards a target of 75% of Welsh public sector spent being with companies located in Wales, recognising that this promotes investment in quality goods within Wales and higher employment skills. We will consider the obstacles that exist in reaching this target, i.e. the size of our contracts and opportunities for Welsh companies to bid efficiently. Recognising the states of the Basque Mologon Cooperative, Plaid Cymru will promote cooperative employee and community ownership models. This may be particularly appropriate in communities where private capital appears unwilling to invest, but where services are locally valued and important. Equally in sectors where are still establishing themselves, such as green industries, community ownership, and models that may become the default investment model in Wales, rather than relying on extracted private capital from the outside. So they would welcome investment within the country, but they want to invest within the businesses themselves, rather than pushing for more investment coming out. They want to develop within rather than out on that when it comes to businesses. Our rural and valley areas continue to live with poor internet connectivity. Plaid Cymru will seek to invest in our digital infrastructure and guarantee our high-speed connection to every home and business. This will in turn provide the necessary infrastructure for workers to benefit from greater flexibility working, as well as providing the infrastructure for Welsh businesses to participate in global markets. Guarantee high-speed connection will also allow for necessary conditions for greater participation in research and development around new technologies that making Wales more of a go-to location for technological innovation. Yeah, improving all that kind of stuff. I think it's a given. I don't know what Labour's Welsh Manifesto is, but I expect them to want to improve on that digital aspirations as well. Our ambitions and apprenticeships. The Labour Welsh Government's decisions on apprenticeships in its last budget was a backward step, significantly cutting the apprenticeship budget with a number of sectors in Wales, highlighting the availability of skills as being a significant barrier. A skills strategy and industrial strategy is sorely needed. As we step towards that, Plaid Cymru seek to map out our skill needs by sector, identifying what is needed to fulfil those needs and create an environment where learners are incentivised to remain on apprenticeship courses by addressing student poverty. This would be done by implementing an apprenticeship living wage and supporting colleges to deliver projects that reduce the financial burden on students, such as free travel and free meals. That sounds very good. Obviously, there's a cost behind that, but yeah, I think anything that would obviously encourage and push and support younger students for better benefit. Yeah, that sounds good to me. So, fairness for employees. We will support the devolution of employment law to Wales, having seen the Conservative UK government roll back on their workers' rights from Westminster in recent years. In a world of increasing threats to workers' employment rights desperately need strengthening, we will reverse the Tories' regressive anti-strike legislation. We will also support legislation to tackle insecure work, provide pay, bereavement and miscarriages leave as day one employment rights. Excuse me. Outlaw fire and rehire tactics, abolish compulsory zero-hour contracts, establish the right to disconnect, a right not to be routinely contacted about work outside normal working hours, and reform the shared parental leave. Following the introduction of the Carers Leave Act 2023, which provides a right to 5 days unpaid leave to care for a person with long-term need, a similar provision pay leave should be considered. Yeah, as someone obviously I've worked, I've worked in retail, and I've been contacted on my day off with regards to things at work and whatnot, and I know how annoying it can be when you on your day off and whatnot, and you're seeing things regarding work, and you just don't want nothing to do with it, and you just want to switch off and not to be contacted, unless there is actually something really serious that you need to. I think, yeah, not just in Wales, but I think in England there needs to be more of a talk about this. There's not enough of a talk about this. People should be able to switch off and not have any kind of contact unless it is absolutely necessary, like a last resort thing. People should not have to be contacted really on their day off. It's not ideal for people on that. Where are we at? Fairness for employees. For those who are wondering what I'm doing. So on the left hand side, there's a bar that tells you of where the lines are. So I'm not going out of joint. Fairness for our planet, recognising the climate and nature emergency which we find ourselves. We need to think beyond economic growth in terms of GDP. We call on the next UK government to consider adopting alternative ways of measuring the economy. We would introduce a business, human rights and environmental bill. This would mandate that private companies conduct due diligence in their supply chains to prevent human rights abuses and environmental harms. The mechanism for enforcement would be modelled on the duty to prevent as seen in the Bribery Act 2010. Yeah, I'm sure Labour will have something similar, if not the same to that. I'd be surprised if they didn't, if I'm honest there. And last one in terms of economy. Fairness to our post office. The impact of the post office scandal has been felt strongly in Wales, with sub-postmasters under suspicion and wrongly convicted because of the failures of the Horizon system and the post office. These wrongs should be corrected and properly comprehensive compensation should be given to those affected by the service features. Plaid Cymru believes that the post office should be devolved to Wales in public ownership, reflecting the crucial role that post office plays in life across the country. I agree with this. I think their post office should be devolved to the Wales, and they should be allowed to dictate what to do with it. I think this. I don't like that our post office is in the hand of a private company. I don't like that we have issues where we have lots of issues when it comes to how our post office people have been, some of the postmasters and whatnot have been treated in the past. They always say that they've learnt from them, but I just think at the end of the day they only care about one thing, and that is the money that's in their pockets, really. That's how I honestly think about it. But overall, in terms of economy and taxation, I think, a lot of that stuff sounds very, very good. I don't think anyone has any issues with that. So next one here, health and social care. So Plaid Cymru strongly believes in the principle of healthcare free at the point of delivery, funded through a general taxation. We oppose the privatisation of service by stealth. Through outsourcing, we will work to ensure that our NHS is properly funded through a new, fairer and needs-based funding model for Wales. First one they got here, fairness for our NHS workforce. Plaid Cymru believes that the NHS is nothing without its staff. We stand in solidarity with doctors, nurses and other healthcare professionals who are undertaking industrial action on pay and wage restoration. We believe that wage restoration pledges for NHS staff must be implemented as soon as possible to show that we are value and support our staff and to boost recruitment and retention in key areas. In Wales, we have seen a significant reduction in the number of GPs over the past decade. Plaid Cymru will reverse this trend by restoring funding for GPs to 8.7% of the Welsh health budget and by recruiting an additional 500 GPs across the country. Given the time needed to recruit and train GPs, this will be a 2-term pledge. Plaid Cymru would increase the availability of degrees apprenticeships in the healthcare sector to provide greater opportunities for young people to enter the profession and remain in Wales to work. Unfilled vacancies within the NHS mean the agency spending continues to be at a high level. Better workforce planning and recruitment posts will save money. Plaid Cymru also believes that shareholders should not be profiting from people's ill health and that profits from private agencies would lead to better services if it was instead reinvested into the healthcare. Nurses' contracts need to be paid more flexible to reflect the age in which we live. Many nurses are part-time because they juggle other responsibilities such as caring and learning and need greater flexibility to achieve a work-life balance. Plaid Cymru would move towards an improved working contract for nurses and recruit more nurses. Plaid Cymru recognises the value of nursing and physician associates, but their introduction must not come at the expense of the overall expertise of the workforce. Any new role should be developed with full consultation within the relevant trade unions. Yeah, this is quite a lot of stuff here. So obviously, they're pledging an additional 500 GPs across the country. Restore funding the GPs to 8.7% of the Welsh health budget there. Obviously, any kind of... it says here, so they want to increase degrees apprenticeships in the healthcare sector for young people to enter the profession and to remain Wales to work. How do you stop them from leaving exactly? This is the question there. And obviously here, there's a lot of agency spending. That's the same thing in England. Better workforce planning, recruitment posts will save money. Is that enough though? Is that enough of a thing? It's one thing just to say that. Like, it's possible that Labour in Wales are probably not, may or may not be workforce planning or recruitment bettering, may or may not be. But just a bit more detail, I think, is needed on that one, if I'm honest. And I think everyone agrees that any kind of health companies profiteering off the expense of anyone, whatever devolved nation, should go reinvest into their healthcare. I think everyone agrees with that. So governance. Plaid Cymru will review governance of the NHS in Wales, looking to strengthen oversight and accountability so that our patients receive a better outcome. Crucially, this does not mean that expenses or disrupt root and branch restructuring to our health service. Rather, we will focus on small but significant cultural changes, streamlining and standardising targets, making line of accountability cleaner, and recruiting managers with more specialist and relevant knowledge. See, they want more managers, and Reform's contract says they want to cut bureaucracy and paperwork. There's a difference there. Our reforms would mean that the special measures status of the health boards in Wales would mean more accurate reflect on our health outcomes rather than being open to political influence from a Labour Welsh government. Equally, we support greater independent oversight from health board managers. Yes, more independent oversight is good rather than from those within politics. We also introduced a regulatory body for senior health managers. Medical staff are accountable to their regulatory bodies, such as the GMC, but the same is not true for senior health managers. Establishing a regular body for managers would help improve patient safety and empower staff by ensuring that every decision reflects on the values of candour, honesty, and integrity. Public health. Plaid Cymru believes that we should move public health towards becoming a wellness service that is geared towards keeping people healthy. A preventive public health strategy which rebalance resources to prevent people becoming ill. That would help the NHS overall by stopping patients entering the system earlier than necessary. Health inequalities is an important part of this agenda, including those determined by class, race and gender. A review of the financial model for Wales should be considered the determination of healthcare to meet our needs. I don't think anyone has an issue with that one. The infected blood scandal. They welcome the long-awaited inquiry into the infected blood scandal. Appalling miscarriage of justice. Yep, of course. We support the report's recommendations, duty of candor for public service. Yep. Similarly, we support the proposal set out by the Patient Safety Commissioner into the Hughes report to provide a compensation and a duty to candor to mesh patients and those harmed by. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't think anyone arguing with that one without a shadow of a doubt on the infected blood scandal. Absolutely horrific scandal that is. COVID inquiry, they just say it's here. They understand decisions made during the COVID pandemic in order that we can better prepare for future situations. We believe in Wales that the powers to make our own decisions and our own government should be held accountable for its use and powers. There should therefore be a Wales-specific inquiry into COVID. As the decisions of the Labour Welsh Government and the impact upon Welsh civil society cannot be considered in the necessary detail by a UK-level inquiry, the Welsh Government should work together with the UK Government to ensure a better preparedness in the future. Similarly, we recognise that many people are affected by long COVID as a result of the illness, and appropriate support must be provided. So they want a COVID inquiry specific for their health service. I don't personally have an issue with that, but I can also at the same time people in Westminster will argue, well, it's part of the UK inquiry. Well, Plaid Cymru want a more detailed one. They want one specifically for the healthcare service in Wales. On that. A national care service for Wales. Plaid Cymru has been working to deliver a national care service for Wales. We believe that social care, like healthcare, should be free at the point of use, and that the distinction between the two is artificial. Ending this distinction will also help reduce delayed transfers of care. The time that people remain in hospital rather than care settings. We will continue to work towards that goal, particularly in support with those with dementia. We support John's campaign for the right of people to be supported by their family carers and will provide clarity that is a human right for family visits to care homes to support patients with dementia. No issues with that. Also in line with the National Care Service, Plaid Cymru is committed to our consultation of the elimination of profit in children's service provisions. Our aim is to work towards gradual expansion and capacity in direct provisions in both children's services and adult services to achieve this. We support the health and social care workforce in Wales, whatever their country of origin. Restrictions for visa care workers and dependents is counterproductive, even when we are looking to recruit additional staff to underpin our institutions. Instead, staff should be provided with the most appropriate support to allow them to integrate into Welsh society. We pay social care workers at least £1 above the real living wage in order to make the job more attractive and to improve recruitment. This makes this index linked, and this would ensure that a full-time worker was paid greater than £1,800 more than the real living wage. Definitely think that people need that. Those who are working in this sector obviously to be getting a lot more pay than what they're already getting. So I'm not sure if that's enough or if that's fair for them. I'll let people in Wales decide that for themselves on that one. Restrictions on visas for care workers and dependents on counterproductive. We're looking to recruit additional staff to underpin our institutions. Interesting there. Yeah, some interesting stuff here. Obviously, this one here, I think everyone this should not be an argument or debate. Everyone should be all in for that, to be fair there. Right, dentistry. Not much here though. Plaid Cymru would open the door for a new dentist school in Bangor as part of a new medical school to train more dentists and answer Wales' needs. Plaid Cymru would scrap the dental charge increases. So they looked like there was going to be some increased charges for dentals, and they want to scrap that. Not a lot there of information on dentistry there. Air ambulance provision. Plaid Cymru wants to see a continuation of the current air ambulance provision at Welshpool and Calafon alongside a rapid response vehicle on the A55. This is very, very important considering its terrain and some of its terrain. So yes, I have no problem. Don't think anyone has should have issue with that. Supporting third sector organisations in both health and social care. Third sector organisations are an important part of the patient journey, and support these organisations are undervalued but play a key role. In order to plan ahead for the activities, they need to have secure funding. We will support the multi-annual funding settlement where this is possible and appropriate to allow these organisations to better plan on their activities. Where was that? Good. Cancer contract, a stop cancer strategy. Plaid Cymru's cancer contract, a stop cancer strategy. will ensure no downgrading of urgent suspected cancer referrals, lowering the sensitivity threshold for bowel cancer screening. Has already been done in Scotland and England, and increase rates of lung cancer screening and ensure that more cancers are caught and treated earlier. A greater focus on prehabilitation would ensure that people are better prepared for cancer treatment and help with their recovery. We would invest in the workforce to recruit, train and retain more on-colony staff. We will support the creation of a national register of Barrett's, I can't say that word, in Wales as well. No issues with that. Neurodiversity. Waiting lists for neurodiversity diagnosis are far too long, meaning that children and young people fail to get proper support that they need. Plaid Cymru would ensure that the support was made available as soon as an individual presents themselves as neurodiverse, whether this is through referral or self-referral. This support will be monitored and tailored to response of the individual need as the diagnosis progresses there. Mental health. We support reform of the Mental Health Act. Reform is well overdue. Following an independent review of the Act in 2018-2021 White Paper, we will press Welsh Government to make necessary amendments in the Code of Practice in Wales. Alongside the transfer of full powers over policy to Wales, we would also transfer powers over the Mental Health Act. They have there. And tackling specific conditions, building on community cardiology diagnostic vehicles in Besky, Kalawanda, which performs diagnostic tests within the community. We will consider which other services can benefit from this, i.e. audiology, diabetes, etc., by developing pilots and best practices. We can reduce the number of people travelling to hospitals while also increasing the uptake by placing it in local communities. We will reduce delays to diagnostic of Crohn's and colitis diseases and IBS by implementing the National Primary Diagnostic Pathway for lower gastrointestinal symptoms. As a result of our industrial heritage, Wales has the highest level of respiratory deaths in Western Europe. Nearly 1 in 5 people live with a lung condition in Wales. We will deliver an improved plan to improve the lives of people living with lung condition. Where are we taking specific decisions? Plaid Cymru supports a review of the impact of recent changes to the special rule of terminal illness. We would extend the statutory bereavement and leave and pay entitlement to 2 weeks to all people with a close relationship to a person who has died. I don't think anyone has any issue with that one. And last one for health and social care. Plaid Cymru supports our small community pharmacies. Sadly, the price of medication and the supply chain are endangering their ability to provide vital local services. We support a change in the legislation on drug towers, which have pushed up prices, and a review to the supply chain to ensure patients get the medication that they need. Some good stuff there with regards to health and social care. I don't really have, like I say, obviously, like I don't know the full ins and outs, but I think there's some good stuff there that they're offering to the people of Wales. The next one we got is education, guys. So education in early years. Education holds the key to Wales' future. Plaid Cymru wants to create an education system where both learners and the workforce can thrive. So starting off here, if it will open up. Yep. Fairness for parents. So no child or family should struggle with the cost of education. No child should be hungry at school. It is only because of Plaid Cymru that all primary schools and children in Wales receive free school meals. Our campaigning has also helped secure the extension of the education maintenance allowance. We will continue to campaign for universal free school meals to be extended to secondary school learners in years 7 to 11, ensuring all children attend in school receive a nutritious meal every day. Learners are also affected by the cost of the school day, including transport, uniform and extracurricular activities. Reducing these costs are essential. No learner should miss a day of school or miss out on opportunities because of their family financial position. 100%. I always say that the bedrock of any society starts with education. I've always said that's one of the biggest gripes that I have is not enough is being done when it comes to meals. Labour are proposing free breakfast clubs for kids. Plaid Cymru want to go one step further, and no child should go hungry in any way, shape, or form. And I think anyone who has a problem with providing meals to children out of their own taxes and whatnot, out of the treasury, I think there's something wrong with you, and I think you seriously need help. I don't care whether you're a rich kid or a poor kid. Everyone should be entitled to a free school meal, in my opinion. I think it should be right across the board. I don't think there should be a debate or discussion. we should be making sure that all children, regardless, are getting the meals that they need to give them the best opportunities and be given the best opportunities that they can in life. So I'm all for what Plaid Cymru are saying. They wanted to extend it to secondary school. For me personally, I think it should go further than keep going further. But this is a much better. This is much better than what Labour are introducing in England. Now, someone could say in the chat that perhaps maybe the Welsh Labour are introducing the same thing possibly, but I'm not going to be covering the Welsh Labour Manifesto, just for reference there. So, ambitions for our children's school budgets have been stretched to breaking point by securing fair funding for Wales. We will ensure schools are restored, resourced to provide both the education and support our learners require in order to leave education equipped for their futures. This includes investing in additional learning needs provisions and investing in mental health support. Crucially, it also means by investing in our workforce, ensuring both teachers and support staff are supported and valued in order to improve both recruitment and retention. So they would do this by reviewing all Budsy schemes available to all incentive teachers to ensure that they attract apprentice applicants and help to fill recruitment gaps. Working with teaching unions to reduce bureaucracy and workload. Yep, that sounds good. Recruiting and retaining 5,000 teachers and supporting staff. So they're proposing 5,000 teachers and staff there. That's a big number. Conducting a review of initial teacher education and continuing. Professional development to ascertain their reference to the demands of a new curriculum. Appointing more non-teaching staff to deal with pupil needs beyond education. And develop a more attractive and formalised role for teaching assistants who currently do not have a clear career pathway. Plaid Cymru also believes that all learners should leave school be able to speak both Welsh and English fluently, as well as at least one other language. The decline in the number of learners taking Welsh as an A-level or studying modern language is of a concern. It doesn't reflect the fact that Wales is a multilingual and diverse nation. I 100% agree with Wales that school leavers should be able to speak Welsh and English fluently. I think the language needs to stay, any kind of undermining whatsoever needs to be snuffed out. I like that they also said that they should learn one other language as well. I do think that even in England, I think that we should be doing more to ensure that kids are learning one other language apart from just being able to speak English in England as well. And I think there's an opportunity there being missed. So not only do I like the fact that they want to keep of course they want to keep the Welsh language influence, and of course they do. But I like that they want to encourage at least one other language. So that could be Spanish, that could be French, it could be German, it could be Russian for all I know. I don't think it'd be Russian if I'm honest. But I like that they want to push the idea of more languages. But obviously it's a question of how you would do that, obviously. But I definitely like that. Supporting staff and learners. The safety of both learners and staff at our schools is also a priority for Plaid Cymru, and we believe that by investing in both the workforce and the support available to learners, we will create a safer learning environment for all. Bullying, racism and homophobia within our schools and wider society must be stamped out. Reviewing the implementation of a new curriculum for Wales and the additional learning needs acts is essential to ensure consistency in terms of the education support leavers receive whenever they are in Wales. This also means providing training and resources to the workforce to ensure that teachers and teaching assistants are equipped to deliver the changes needed. We will also continue to support capital spending on upgrading and building new schools. There's no reason why private fee-paying schools should receive additional support from taxpayers. We would scrap private school charitable status and charge VAT on fees and remove exemptions from business rates. Okay. Don't really have anything more to add on that. Plaid Cymru secured extensive childcare provision through the cooperation agreement, but our ambition goes further. Our vision is for a national and free Welsh medium early years of education and childcare service. Plaid Cymru provided high quality provision for children aged 12 months until they are eligible for full-time education. This requires an investment in the childcare workforce, including offering free Welsh language learning opportunities in the English medium sector so that they can be part of the scheme. Mwyneb Muireann would have a key role in making sure that Welsh language childcare is available in all parts of Wales. Yeah, this should be a given. The Welsh language should be available in all parts of Wales. Don't have any issue with that at all. Post-16 education, Plaid Cymru will place vocational education as well as foundations as academic learnings in schools and universities. An independently commissioned review of vocational qualifications in Wales was commissioned as part of their cooperation agreement. It made 33 recommendations as part of a new commission for TEDLI education and research in qualification Wales, and we will ensure that these are taken forward. Yep, totally happy with that. I can't say that word, guys, so I do apologise. Like I said, Welsh language is not my thing, but believe it or not, I do have part Welsh blood, believe it or not, from one of my family lines. We will continue to support COLEG to fund and promote higher and further education through the medium of Welsh, and for the academics to conduct research in Welsh. We will continue the funding for the COLEG to enable it to develop its further education and apprenticeship Welsh medium action plan, and also to recruit and train bilingual workforce, both in teaching and more generally strengthen the use of the Welsh language in the workplace learning for 16 to 25-year-olds. This requires us to understand the needs and desires of Welsh-speaking students before they enter higher education in order to contribute to workforce planning and the use of Welsh in its workplace. No problems, no issues with that at all. Plaid Cymru will review the Syrian programme, which aims to support Wales's brightest sixth formers to increase access for learners from disadvantaged backgrounds and take part of the Syrian network, and to better align it to the opportunities offered by the Welsh higher education institutions. We will offer summer schools at each Welsh university for the Syrian Foundation learners, expand the current partnership with Aberystwyth and Cardiff universities, and set up new pilots and other Welsh institutions. Yep. Higher education and research. For years, Plaid Cymru has been raising concerns about the higher education sector, warning that it is in crisis and is in need of urgent support. We have done so because we recognise the importance of the role of universities within our communities in attracting students and staff and supporting the local economy and supply chains through realising our young people's talents. Recognising the severe challenges facing the sector, we will work to expand the number of studying at Welsh universities, attracting greater number of Welsh domestic students as well as retaining the current number of UK and overseas students will result in the net increase of overall students. We will work with the sector and the COLAG to support personalised and flexibility pathways into higher education through increased reconciliation of learning achieved elsewhere. And through promotion of short courses, these new pathways will help meet workforce training needs and also offering enriching policies for lifelong learning and community renewal. In line with development across Europe, we will prioritise areas that promote economic and social sustainability. We also increase government investment in research and development. We also seek to devolve Wales' share of UK research and innovation expenditure, and for a block grant to be allocated based on population and overseen rigorously, to ensure Wales' continued role as a producer in leading internationally recognised research with impact on life in Wales and beyond. Our ambition is to make university education free again for all, so that we work with universities to develop a plan to make them financially viable so that this becomes a genuine option. This is very good stuff. I mean, a lot of it is there's not really, like some of the other manifestos so far, it's a lot of good stuff. There are some key policies and key things they say they're going to do. There are also a lot of things in terms of detail, but I can't be too. The thing is, obviously, guys, I can't be too hypocritical of this because obviously I don't know a lot about Welsh politics, so I have to take it at face value of as how this comes across to me, and obviously you guys who are watching either premiere or those who are commenting, those in Wales, I honestly want to know your feedback and what you think of what they are saying here, because I really do think it's very important for those in Wales. So lifelong learning, to even up educational investment, we need to commit to investing in lifelong learning, not just paying it lip service. We need to start by creating a lifetime learning allowance. This would consist of mixtures of grants, loans, and the rights to free provision. We would offer a grant of $5,000 to the personal living accounts for every individual to over 25 to train or retain, with added loans to cover more expenses with courses and maintaining costs for those who want to take courses full-time, repaying the same way as student loans. This will be available to anyone regardless of what previous funding they have received. Initially, we will trial this with those who have been made recently redundant. Interesting. Tuition and maintenance level loans levels at 4, 5 and 6, including for vocational qualifications, will be made available to all adults aged 18 and over, and available in both further and higher education. We would address the fall in part-time and mature study over the past decade. This may include more blended learning options and move away from 3 year full-time bachelor degrees into a greater mix of part-time, shorter or more vocational courses. Our childcare offer will be available to those of whom caring responsibility are a critical barrier to learning. And that is all they have on education and learning. Some interesting bits there. I like obviously about how important they want to introduce and ensure that they learn it at a bit of a younger age, the Welsh language, to ensure that it's embedded in them. And I'm all for that. I don't know what Labour's position is on the Welsh language. I assume that they want to keep it anyway. Sorry, let me take that back. I'm sure they want to keep it, but it's a case of how quickly they want to ensure on that. But I think both parties are pretty much on that, if I'm honest, guys. So next one we've got here is criminal justice and policing. So I'm going to cover this one, and then we'll take a little mini break after this one. So criminal justice and policing, our ambition for criminal justice powers. So support full justice powers. So I'm not going to read all this bit here, but it's just you can have a read here if you want. I'll just pause it there for a moment if you want to have a look at this bit. It's really more about what the key policies have got there. Okay, so they've got quite a few here. So the first one is fair funding for Wales's police force. So by stealth, the UK Conservative government has transferred the burden of paying for the police from a central responsibility to local people. This is clearly unfair. There have been decades of Tory cuts in which Wales police force has been increasingly underfunded by a police funding formula at Westminster. Wales gets less than its fair share of police funding as per head of population. The impact of this is that we in Wales have had to increase the policing element in council tax by greater than inflation just to maintain the same service. While policing remains in control of the Westminster government, Plaid Cymru would make the case that policing must be properly funded in order to do its job properly and prevent crime, as well as catching and convicting criminals. Given Cardiff's status as a capital city, Plaid Cymru believes that there should be additional funding to recognise the higher profile events which take place there and the security arrangements required to police these. This is already happening in other UK capitals. Yeah, so they're going to make their case. Whether they will get heard or not is obviously another question. Plaid Cymru believes that the victims of crime and antisocial behaviour should be at the centre of justice and police service. By listening to those who've lived experiences of being a victim of crime, we can provide better services that are more responsible for the people's needs, both in the immediate aftermath of crime taking place and in the longer term. Plaid Cymru will create a Victims Commissioner for Wales who would be able to represent victims of crime and stand up for their rights so that they are not forgotten and ignored by decision makers. No issue with that. Plaid Cymru recognises the scale and challenges of violence against women and girls and needs to prevent and reduce the harm that this causes. There is great challenges in the criminal justice system to ensure that women and girls are believed and then they get justice for the crimes committed against them. There is a need for specialist training and support officers around the issue of cohesive control, stalking, and an improved understanding of homicide risk. We will work with police and crime commissions in Wales to further development this support for women and girls. The number of convictions for crimes against women and girls is very small. The Victims Commissioner would help increase the number of successful convictions of perpetrators as part of a series of measures. So these include creating a domestic abuse register to protect women is a means of preventing death and injury because it enables the early identification of abusive men. This would shift responsibility away from the potential victim, as happened under Clare's law, and on the authorities and the offenders themselves. Stop abusers further harassing the victims through court proceedings and strengthening restraining orders and sanctions for breaching them. Through the recommendation of the Sully Lampov Trust, there are specialist stalking training requirements for all professionals dealing with stalking cases, and an unfiltered recording system be used by the police, the CPS, the Home Office, the Ministry of Justice, and National Probation System to follow the journey of a victim of stalking through the criminal justice system. Ensuring that laws relating to sexual images are always based on consent rather than intent to close loopholes that see perpetrators get away with abuse, and increasing sentences for domestic violence and stalking offences. I'm happy with all that. I'm pretty sure that them, like any other political party, wants to ensure that women and girls are protected as much as they possibly can. Prisons. Wales has the highest imprisonment rate in Western Europe, despite having no control over its criminal justice policy. UK government prisons construction is a factor. The construction of HMP Balwyn near Wrexham is a substantial increase in prison population at HMP Pack. in Bridgeon Head have contributed to high in-country imprisonment rate in Wales, and over the past decade prison numbers continue to rise. Plaid Cymru does not support private prison provisions. We believe it is a responsibility of the state. We are alarmed by the recent number of deaths and criticisms of HMP Park, which we feel needs a full investigation to be brought back under public control. At present, the prison estate is effectively full, posing a danger to prison staff and victims. Sentencing policy should consider what works best to prevent criminals from reoffending and being in danger to the wider public. This includes restorative justice, community-based sentence for low-risk offenders, and community-based prevention and rehabilitation. So, like England, obviously Wales are having an issue when it comes to the prisons that they have there of overcrowding as well. And based on this, I imagine that they don't really have a lot of power here when it comes to the prisons, sadly for them. And it's very frustrating to say the least. Fairness for women in justice. Plaid Cymru believes that women are not well served by our criminal justice system. Women custodial sentences that are served outside of Wales with an impact upon a time travel for the family, the provision of service in Welsh, and a disconnect with their community. Most women who serve custodial sentences are only in prison for a short period, which is less effective in reducing crime, but has a substantial social impact. So we will focus on reducing crime through identifying the underlying reasons why women are involved in criminal behaviour and working with partners to resolve other issues and review the effectiveness of short prison sentences for female offenders. This is part of an ongoing work to reduce crime. Plaid Cymru wants to establish 4 community-based women's centres across Wales to support female offenders. We will work with the Police and Crime Commission in Wales to deliver this, with one in each of the northwest, northeast, southwest and southeast of the country. If they don't have something like that already, I think that's something I'm definitely all in favour for if it helps. Definitely. Probation. We are concerned that the probation service remains under-resourced and overworked. We support the NAPO's call for strategic reduction in programme with safe workloads and a case allocation system. Manageable workloads are key to ensuring the protection of staff, offenders and the public. Devolving the criminal justice system will ensure better collaboration between prisons and services which are already devolved. Reducing homelessness upon release and improve health provisions and address concerns about the privately run Park prison. Yep, totally understand that. Ensuring justice for all. Plaid Cymru believes that everybody should have access to justice within easy access of the community in which they live. Sadly, for too many years, this right has been reduced, even though deliberate closure of local court facilities or the reduction of funding and opportunity for legal support. We will provide additional help to prevent these legal aid deserts, which means that individuals are prevented from accessing timely advice or support. This involves supporting the legal workforce to move into these fields of provision and making the whole field more sustainable. Many parts of Wales were affected by courts closures under both Labour and the Conservative governments, making it difficult to access justice in the local community. Plaid Cymru would pilot a course in the community service scheme which visit areas of the country with an appropriate timetable to resolve local justice needs. This would also help reduce the backlog of court cases which have become endemic with the system due to the underfunding by the Conservatives there. Transparency in policy. As part of a move towards greater transparency in policing, Plaid Cymru supports legislation in Westminster which requires police officers to declare memberships of clubs, societies and organisations to ensure their relationship outside of the workplace are transparent and above board. This will provide increased transparency and confidence in policing. That's definitely a good idea. Policing drugs. Plaid Cymru believes that drug policing should focus on targeting supply lines and dealers in the organised trade rather than the individual users if those people are causing no wider harm. We recognise that some drug users are responsible for acquitted crimes in order to fund their dependency. They should be supported to stop their addiction. Many users are also dealers and exploited as part of a crimes network. This is a matter of particular safeguard and concern when it involves children. Plaid Cymru believes that the drugs policy is a matter of public health and reducing the number of individuals with addictions has a wider benefit to society. Introducing drug consumption rooms across Wales will facilitate more humane and sustainable approach to addiction issues. It's been clear that traditional methods of policing drugs and organised crime has not been successful and has led to hostile and violent environments. Plaid Cymru would also welcome independent review of drug policy and how it's policed. We believe that by introducing a policy of soft drugs decriminalisation which respects individuals' choices, could better target policing resources towards organised groups who profit from the misery of other people's vulnerabilities. Yeah, I like what they're saying here. I like that they're recognizing that people need help, and I like what they're putting this when it comes to people with drugs. Alongside this, we believe that the UK Home Office should cleanse the criminal records of those cautioned or convicted of drug possessions where there are no further aggravating factors. Yes, I like what they're saying here. I like what they're saying about the drug policies. I like that. Then the thing that I like is that they're not, while they understand the targeting gangs and whatnot is important. What I really like is that they understand that there are people who need help and need to be rehabilitated, need to be looked at. What can we do to help them, rather than just demonize them and criminalize them? This is very, very good here. I really like this here. What they're saying here about drugs. I think that's very important. Plaid Cymru believes that non-violent protest is an important mechanism in our democracy to show public support for solidarity for a cause. We support the right of an individual freedom of expression and assembly. The rights of the individual should be represented, as should the rights of police officers not to be treated under harm while carrying out legitimate duties. We do not believe the legislation introduced by the Conservative UK government, which unfairly restricts opportunities for non-violent protests. Plaid Cymru will repeal these powers at Westminster, including the relevant parts of the Police Crime and Sentencing Court Act of 2022 and the Public Order Act of 2023. Sadly, some groups frequently resort to violence in order to make their point, and this needs to be policed in a stronger manner than events which are non-violent in nature. It is highly disappointing that large costs of more than £1 million has been spent by the Dalfig Powys Police to the police protest at Langshill Stanley Park Hotel for a misguided Conservative UK government plan, which was later dropped. Plaid Cymru believes that the Dalfig Powys Police should be compensated for the cost of Westminster's mistakes rather than recoup from the cost of local taxpayers in the area. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all. And finally, on policing, criminal justice and policing, supporting our justice staff. So Plaid Cymru recognises that police officers, prison officers, and probation staff all work hard for their communities to deliver the best possible service. This can mean putting themselves in danger or under threat of personal harm through trying to reduce the threat of injuries or harm to others. We will continue to provide the best support to serving police and prison officers to deal with the trauma and challenges of dealing with their everyday tasks, as well as unusual or particularly difficult circumstances which may arise in the course of their duties. We will tackle staff retention issues in the prison and probation services by reducing the prison officer's pension down from 68. Okay. So that is police, criminal justice and policing. And again, I think a lot of that sounds very, very good. Don't really have any issues with any of that at all. I think that sounds very, very good stuff. So guys, we're going to take a quick little break because I need to recover my voice a little bit. If you can, before I play a funny video, just to break the ice a little bit, if you can, please hit the like button, be greatly appreciated. Share across social media so others are notified of this video. And if you're not subscribed already, please consider subscribing because it really does help support the channel. And thank you to everyone and anyone who has done so. It is really, really appreciated. So we're going to... some of you guys may have seen this funny video before, but I hope you guys enjoy this one. It's a little funny one here, short one here from Matt Green Comedy, impersonating Boris Johnson here. So I hope you guys enjoy this.
Hello, remember me? Yes, I'm that lovable scruff who was once your worst ever Prime Minister, apart from him. Or her, or, let's be honest, the other him. Taking a break from my well-deserved holiday from running the country to tell all of you in East, West, somewhere or other, to vote for my close personal friend, Harry James. James Harry. Sorry, is that a John? Anyway, the point is, only a vote for Harry John on July 5th, 4th, Independence Day. From whom? From whom, though? Brussels. Get Brexit done. Although I didn't I? Oh, anyway, the point is, only a vote for the Conservatives can stop Keir Corbyn and the woke brigade getting a majority, or even a super-majority, or a mega-majority, a majority bigger than the number of children I have, because, you know, he'll be kowtowing to the European Union, taxing fun to pay for immigrants, and... I don't know, probably digging up the old Queen to slap her in the face. So, vote Conservative, take back control. Hands, face, space. Vaccines. Something about a bus. Will that do? And we'll get the money.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. If you haven't seen it already, do check it out. Matt Green Comedy on his YouTube channel. Does stand-up comedy as well. Do check out whenever he's doing a tour. I highly recommend checking him out in person. Absolutely great guy. And yeah, hope you guys like that one. Right, so let me get this back to where it was before. So we are looking at housing and planning next here on their manifesto. So Plaid Cymru believes that everybody should have a right to a safe and affordable home in their communities, and this should be the purpose of the housing system. We will introduce the right to adequate housing, which will underpin this. I think everybody, we have a housing crisis, and I'm pretty sure, and it needs to be addressed. I'm not sure I'm not sure if Wales has the same housing crisis as us, but I would not be surprised if there is an issue due to the fact that there's not been enough funding for them. So they have an ambition to build social housing. I like this. So Wales will needs to ensure that supply of housing meets community needs. This requires significant expansion in the amount of social and multi-actal housing stock, a policy that would help tackle private rent sector's rent rises. Plaid Cymru campaigned at the end of the scandal of the housing relevance account subsidy scheme, which saw local authorities send council house tenant rentals income to Westminster rather than reinvest in the local housing. And as a result, 11 local councils now have the opportunity to build their own council housing once again, as they and the Housing Association should be supported to develop further housing as quickly as possible. The government in Wales, Plaid Cymru, will develop a plan to deliver this significant expansion to meet local housing in needs in all parts of the country, accessing a mixture of private and public funding stems with working and communities to provide the correct mix of housing across Wales. While planning these developments, we will factor all of the local communities for healthcare, education and transport, as well as sufficient green space for local Plaid facilities. Yep, I have no problem with that. Our Unit O's policy aims to support the Welsh construction industry as part of our proposals, creating centre of excellence in both new construction and retrofitting existing housing stock. We will work with local authorities and house associations to develop Welsh local supply chains and skilled labour so that the profits from the Welsh house building industry can be kept within Wales, rather than exploiting by large volumes house builders. In further development plans for house building across Wales, we need to identify appropriate land and appropriate align this with other communities' needs, including provisions of healthcare, education department, and among others. This involves strategic planning at national, regional, and local levels to ensure delivery. Absolutely. Tackling homelessness, meeting community housing needs and increasing housing stock is also reduce the number of individuals and families facing homelessness in Wales. In the city, we have prioritised tackling homelessness and we are awaiting new legislation to be developed following the white paper of housing published last autumn. Using the Housing First model and rapid rehousing, we will look to end homelessness, recognising that much of the challenge is not just those sleeping on the streets or those allocating temporary accommodation, but those people who are staying with friends and family. So one of the challenges is tackling long-term empty and unused property that could be someone's home. Plaid Cymru's campaigning is helped increasing council tax premiums on empty properties, which have funded grants to increase the supply of affordable homes. There is no good reason why so many properties are left empty when they could be housing individuals or families. 100% agree with that. We believe that everybody has a right to live within the community of which they were raised. Plaid Cymru also supports a package of actions to tackle the challenges of second homes and homes within our communities, with substantial impacts felt by Ynys Môn Garwin and Pembrokeshire in particular, where they make a large amount of the available housing stock. And we have introduced powers from local authorities to acquire registration of a charge of use for a property into a holiday home and to introduce a cap on the number of second and holiday homes within a community. Many local authorities in Wales have now introduced a council tax premium on second homes, where the additional funds are raised to put forward development of social housing for local residents. We're also looking to close loopholes which allow holiday homes to pretend and be legitimate letting business, so that we can ensure that genuine self-catered accommodation businesses can be protected. Yeah, a lot of people obviously try to take advantage of the sector, and I like that they're looking at these things to ensure as many safeguards as they possibly can, that people don't take advantage of it. I'm all for this. Within the private rental sector, we believe in the system of fair rents and fair control, so that they are affordable local people with local incomes, and that individuals and families are not priced out of an area where they currently live. Our proposed right to adequate housing bill in Wales, which includes powers to introduce rent controls and other market interventions, make housing more affordable. Okay. And finally, the fairness in planning. So the planning system is outdated and needs an overhaul. Far too often, communities are at the mercy of large developers who build exclusive homes for profit rather than build the required homes to answer the need. We know that there is a huge demand for one or two bed properties in Wales, as well as bungalows from an ageing population. Yet development fails to build houses that answer community needs. So we will reform the planning system so that it is consistent with local needs and aspirations rather than reflecting the interests of developers. This means maintaining the up-to-date information on housing needs and ensuring that development reflects this need. This will be supported by funding packages to assist local government to robustly enforce plan decisions, ensuring that developers stick to the agreement. We will ensure that local development plans are not imposed upon local planning authorities without their support. And that is everything for housing and planning. I don't really have anything more to add on that, and saying, pretty solid stuff there that they have. How many more have we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got 10 more to look at, guys. For some reason, there we go. It's taking a while to load up there. Apologies for that. So next one I got here, climate change and energy. I'm pretty sure they'll be on the same lines of what most people have with climate change and energy here. So I expect this all to be 95% positive, to be fair. So Plaid Cymru recognises that the climate and nation... this bit I'm not going to save my voice on. If you want to read all this, you're more than welcome to. This is just their statement of what they want to do. Green jobs, green energy, all that kind of stuff. I'm just going to... If you want to pause it and have a quick look, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to read all this. More about what they're going to... key policy things there. Right, so the first one there. Control of our natural resources. So when it comes to the power over resources, we believe that the people of Wales should have full control over all our natural resources, our waters and our lands. We have the energy independence for Wales, and we can achieve a fairer green transition in our terms. We believe that Wales should have full control of our energy powers without any upper limit or conditions set by the UK government. It makes no sense for there to be a specific limit, currently 350 megawatts of generation, meaning that there are two planning regimens in place and that the major energy development can be given consent by Westminster without the consent of the people of Wales. Plaid Cymru will ensure that Wales takes full control over the Crown Estate in Wales, which has already been devolved to Scotland, but not yet to Wales. That seems a bit unfair. Why not give it to Wales? Why not? Recent years have seen increased investment in Crown Estate energy projects in Wales's water, and that the benefits of these investments could be returned to Wales. These projects should be developed for the needs of Wales rather than for extraction, and should be aligned with the electricity grid, planning system and other factors to maximise positive outcome for Wales. This includes the use of Welsh local supply chains and Welsh local supply chains in future contracts and renewable energy developments in the Welsh Crown Estate, developing and supporting our local industries. This will become a sovereign wealth fund for Wales so that we invest for profit in our future generations. Control of water in Wales would allow the seed to set high environmental targets on water quality and lower prices where possible. The current scandal of the water quality must be resolved and should never be allowed to happen again. We will enact Section 48(1) of the Wales Act 2017, which would give full line of the seeds legislation compliance over water with the geographical boundaries of Wales. We will also formally request powers from the UK over the licensing of sewage in Wales. Yep, I don't have an issue with that. I think they should be allowed to dictate and control their own stuff there. Plaid Cymru has made long ease for the establishment of our own national energy company, Cymru. Cymru. I hope I said that right. Apologies. I'm sure I've been saying a lot of words wrong. I know people are going to point out. Which we succeed in establishing through working with the Welsh Government. This will expand community-owned renewable energies in generations across Wales. And we foresee a greater role in Cymru as well as develops in our lines which aim for a Welsh-based energy company to serve the needs of the people of Wales. Helping us take control of our own national resources and lowering energy bills, community energy is important in Wales. Plaid Cymru will push for changes of how the national grid is structured so that communications can benefit directly from local energy projects. Wales is currently paying the price for a legacy of decades of underinvestment in the grid, resulting in large bottlenecks for connections and distribution of transmission networks, and will not achieve its carbon reduction targets if this issue isn't resolved. We will push for changes for planning policies to give local communities a greater voice in determining what developments happen in their locally, and ensuring local voices are involved early in the planning stages of projects so that people have more say in ownership of these projects. Preserving Wales's natural landscape. We believe that the beauty of Wales's natural landscape should be preserved. I don't think anyone has an issue with that. This means that large-scale industrial energy generation developments should take this into account. Large-scale pylon developments or solar-scale developments should be considered in the context of their impact, and alternative methods for linking renewable energy the national grid should be implemented, i.e. through the undergrounding of cables. Yeah, I don't think large-scale pylons is something that people would want in Wales, considering how beautiful their countrysides can be. Plaid Cymru opposes development of a new site for a nuclear power station, which would oppose new licenses for oil and gas. Yep, I agree. They shouldn't need that kind of stuff. Solar and wind should be the way to go. The legacy of coal mining continues to leave scars on our nation's landscape. Westminster benefited from the mining industry in days before the devolution, and they should bear the responsibility for making these sites safe. Plaid Cymru will push to ensure Westminster pays towards clearing the coal tips that litter our valleys, and that sites restoration does not have to be financed through the further extraction of coal. The legacy of mining is also felt on the ongoing injustice faced by former miners, whose pensioners and benefits the coffers of the Treasury. While some former miners live on only £10 a week, Plaid Cymru demands that the UK government should relinquish its entitlement to the pension scheme investment reserve, and that should transfer the billions already taken from the miners back to those former workers and their families. The UK government must commit to implementing the BEIS inquiry's own recommendations into the mine workers' pension scheme. We will maintain the ban on fracking and oppose to proposals for gas-fired peaking plants in Wales, and on new open cast coal mines. Open cast mine sites should be fully restored for the benefit of local communities and should never be used as a guide for private companies to undertake further coal extraction. There should be stronger enforcement for the protection of sites of special scientific interest, that's SSSIS, in Wales, so that the days of company dumping waste on protective sites can be a thing of the past. I can't comment on this, guys. I don't know enough about this to comment on this, so I'm going to have to sit on the fence on that one. Maintain the ban on fracking. I'm absolutely, nobody wants more fracking. Opposed for any kind of new coal mines, of course. Everything else there, I'm totally fine with. But as for the injustice of this, I don't know enough about this to comment on this. All I'll say is obviously it's a matter for others to explain to me in the comments down below on this. But obviously, I do care about the natural landscape, and it should be well looked after as much as it possibly can. Fairness for energy. The increase in energy bills in recent years has hugely affected households across the country, rising through rising in the price cap. This privatised energy market has apparently failed. There's no good reason why households in Wales, which produce more energy than it uses, have higher standard charges than in England. We will look to reduce these charges, saving money on all households. We want to see the introduction of a social tariff for energy, although prices are expected to fall during the summer. When energy use is lower, it is anticipated to rise again in the autumn and the winter. So Plaid Cymru would devolve the responsibility of Ofgem to regulate the design of a whole system energy grids and markets which serve Wales, while aligning with emerging UK, European and global standards. As part of this work, we will establish a Welsh energy system operator. We support the long-term plan for retrofitting existing properties that would make them more energy efficient, thereby reducing costs and carbon emissions. This will require government support, particularly while households are in such economic challenging circumstances, and require investment and commitment to developing a skilled workforce capable of delivering this program and works across the country. I don't have anything to add more to that. Tackling the nature emergency. The nature emergency is of great importance to Plaid Cymru and our sedated groups, which led the debate in 2021, which resulted in our Sedate being the first parliament in the UK to declare a national emergency. The loss of biodiversity and species will affect us all, and 1 in every 6 species in Wales is already threatened with extinction. We support a science-led plan aligned with the 2022 Cumeg Montreal Agreement to ensure that nature loss is firmly in reserve as soon as possible. Plaid Cymru supports the introduction of biodiversity targets to halt biodiversity decline by 2030 and ensure subsistence recovery by 2050. The climate and nature emergencies must be tackled together. We will ensure the planning projects that we have to regard the two emergencies to avoid situations like wind farms being built on landscapes to provide habitats for endangered species. Yeah, so there is this balance, obviously, when it comes to obviously investing more in green energy, but while also protecting the land as well. And I think that's a difficult challenge for Welsh Labour or Welsh Labour as well. Sorry, I needed to spray that. Apologies, because it's very hot in here. I do apologise. They do need to obviously protect as much land. Yeah, because what you don't want, because a lot of Welsh has a lot of beautiful land. You really don't want, like, I'm sure nobody wants massive windmills built up on them. But I do think they should look at, I do think in terms of windmills, they should look more to develop out in the sea. I definitely think there's something there could be looked at. I'm sure they have looked and talked about it. I'll be surprised if they're not. And obviously, I support any kind of solar panels being built on homes as well. And I'm sure that Plaid would agree with such an investment as well on that. And that's what they have on energy change, climate change and energy there. So I agree, obviously, with many things. But I also think that I would like to see, obviously, talk more about more solar and energy. And obviously, I like the fact that they reject any kind of nuclear in there as well. And I think that's a good thing as well. So next one here is welfare. Oh, by the way, this is not a live stream, in case anybody's wondering. This is a premiere video. So in case you're wondering, why is he not answering my question? It's because this isn't live. So just in case anybody's wondering. So tackling child poverty. The increase in the number of children living in poverty under the Conservative UK government is wholly unacceptable, and it's left far too many of our young people struggling with fewer chances in life. Not going to read the rest of it because I want to save my voice for the rest of it, but I think everybody agrees that any kind of child poverty, we should not have any. I think it's absolutely outrageous and disgusting that we have that. But if you want to have a read of this, you're more than welcome to read this. This is one of their pledges we read it earlier. Obviously, the child, £20 per week for all children. 94% child benefits received by 94% of children in Wales. They will scrap the 2-child limit on universal credit payments as well. There as well. Right, so let's dive into it. So tackling child poverty. The increase in the number of children living in poverty under the Conservative government is wholly unacceptable. This has left far too many of our young children struggling to fewer lives. We believe that any government should target and reducing the eventual abolition of child poverty in one of its major goals. This is the same thing. This is the same thing. It is the same thing. Oh, I might as well read it. In the 2021 state election in Wales, Plaid Cymru's #1 policy was the introduction of free school meals and for all young people in primary school so that they can be assured of a healthy and nutritious meal while learning. Having successfully implemented this policy, we now push to increase this rollout, also including secondary schools across Wales. As part of our mission to reduce child poverty, Plaid Cymru will increase child benefits by £20 per week for all children. Across Wales, this will help 330,000 families and more than 550,000 children and young people who are eligible for this, boosting their life chances and helping families to deal with the cost of living crisis forced upon them by the Conservative UK government. Child benefit is received by 94% of children in Wales, so that we believe this to be the most effective way of providing support for the families. This will allow them to plan their finances and make responsible decisions in the face of the cost of living that has forced so many into poverty. We will scrap the Conservative policy of 2-child limit on universal credit payments. It's one of the key drivers of child poverty and end at the benefit cap, which stops families from claiming the full amount. So guaranteeing our essentials. Under the Conservative UK government, social security benefits have frequently failed to rise in line with increased prices. This has led to a situation in which nearly 3/4 of people in the UK experience destitution are in receipt of social security. By linking core benefits with inflation, this maintains current amounts without further penalising receipt and stop future governments from using benefits as a political football. Plaid Cymru supports an essential guarantee level to ensure all individuals and families have received the minimum required for their daily lives. The cost of this has been calculated by the Joseph Rowntree Foundation as being £120 for an individual each week and £200 for a couple. By making this a legal minimum for universal credit, the standard allowance would be set so that any deductions would not take any income below that threshold. Plaid Cymru will keep the treble lock pension increase, which means that the state pension will keep in pace with the increased prices and the cost of living. We recognise that many recipients of the state pension have no other way of increasing their fixed level of incomes and believe that this increase, the highest of inflation, average earning increase of 2.5%, is the fairest way to ensure that income keeps pace with the real world costs. We also increase the income tax personal allowance for pensioners in line with the triple lock, so they intend to keep the triple lock there. Plaid Cymru believes that there should be a Welsh benefit system with a particularly strong case to devolve those benefits to are most closely aligned to existing devolved policy areas such as health and housing benefits. Wales would also control their administration of benefits which would remain reserved, such as universal credit, and the powers to create new benefits such as the Welsh child payment, similar to which that is already in place in Scotland, and to provide further targeting to support families in poverty. Any time today. Thank you. Improved benefits take up. Many people are entitled to benefits in which they never claim, either because they are unaware of the eligibility or they are not properly supported by the claim of the system. A recent published report estimated that this at 23 billion per year across the UK. We reviewed the provision of non-universal and automatic benefits to understand that which can be made easier to access through auto-enrolment or through informal campaigns, as well as assisting advice organisations and local authorities to better promote these benefits to people who may be eligible. And so Plaid Cymru opposes the Conservative proposal changes to the work capability assessment and their back to work plan, which again appears to blame people for being unwell and unable to work as they wish to do so. We rejected the discourse of blaming people for the circumstances in which they find themselves. Benefit sanctions for the delays in receipts of the universal credit led to hardship, which does not help people in returning to work. The timetable for receipt of first payments of universal credit should be shortened so that individuals and families do not get into substantial debt, and repayment should operate in the basis of supporting people. Yep, I think everyone's in agreement with that. Fairness to farmers, universal credit. The shift from working tax credits to universal credits is taking its toll on farming families, self-employed people and seasonal workers. It's become a universal credit entitlement and is assessment based on monthly rather than their annual incomes, with minimum income floor meaning that people lose out on vital support. Plaid Cymru will support the alternative methods of calculating entitlement, including annual income, and ensuring everyone is treated fairly. Local housing rate allowance. The local housing rate allowance is the amount of rent which can be provided to help meet social costs. Since changes to the local housing rate allowance was introduced, rental costs have substantially increased, meaning that renters are unable to cover the costs, with a knock-on effect on sustainable tendencies and rising level of homelessness. So Plaid Cymru will ensure that the LHA is retained at the 30% of marketing rents in the broad market rental area, in line with the devolution of housing which already exists. The broad market rental area mechanism should be devolved to Wales, as housing is already a devolved area. Again, another argument of we don't control this. Can we have more control, please? Increasing statutory sick pay. Plaid Cymru increases support in statutory sick pay in line with statutory maternity pay. In line with the findings of our recent Work and Pensions Committee report, we believe that all employees should be eligible for statutory sick pay, not just those who are paying lower earnings of national earning levels of national insurance. I think everyone would agree that statutory sick pay should be done for that. Not just in Wales, but I think across the board. I think across the UK on that one. So I'm perfectly happy with that one. Cold weather repayment reform. Plaid Cymru would amend how cold weather payment assessments are made. Cold weather payments are made when the temperature dips below freezing for 7 days. However, the measuring stations in Wales are often near coastal areas, which may be warmer than surrounding mountain areas, thereby reducing those population payment eligibility. We are concerned that many vulnerable people are missing out on these payments because the weather in their location is substantially different to areas being measured by the Met Office. I can't comment on that, guys. So, on that one. Next one is one I definitely like. Universal basic income pilots. Now we've talked about they've talked about doing some pilots before. So Plaid Cymru supports the principles of a universal basic income and will support pilots. In Wales, there has been a universal basic income pilot with care leavers, and we await the findings of that project. And yes, we will continue. I will continue to monitor and keep an eye on that. But yes, when the findings of that, I will definitely cover that when it does come out. So yes, they are UBI, guys. Yes, UBI. So hopefully we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see on that. But overall, in welfare and what they're saying, totally in agreement with that. So, constitutions and governance. Plaid Cymru believes that independence is the best way to deliver real fairness and ambition for Wales. Independence will give us the levers that we really need to grow and green our economy and make the government in Wales fully accountable for the people of Wales for the decisions that they make. Independence. An ambition for Wales. Plaid Cymru will prepare a green paper on the path to independence and to create a national commission. This commission will work to improve the health of our democracy, research the full range of options for our political and economic future, and engage citizens in Welsh and ongoing discussions about these options. The recently published final report of the Independent Commission on the Constitutional Future of Wales found that an independent Wales would be viable, and research previously commissioned by Plaid Cymru showed that the Wales's fiscal deficit at independence would be at £2.6 billion, and at 3% of GDP, this would be well within European norms. An independent Wales could create conditions for green and inclusive economic growth. Plaid Cymru will make the case that independence is not just viable, it's desirable, and we will engage with the people of Wales to persuade them of this merits. Recognising that recent years have shown significant growth in the number of people becoming indie curious and indie convinced, as shown in opinion polls, and the growth of pro-independent marches in recent years, we will continue to make the argument for the independence to every corner of Wales. We believe that independence of Wales is a decision to be made by the people of Wales, and the power to call referendum on the constitutional future of Wales should lie with the seed in Cardiff and not with the UK government. I agree with all that. I just don't know if it's something that can be met, if the people of Wales are ready for that. I do think there is, like I said, there is talk about it. There may be some talk about it, but there's not enough about it. But this is where Plaid needs to continue to push this if they want to set Wales free from the rest of the UK, I would say. And it should, but if enough people want it, this is where, if they want to push, this is where Plaid Cymru can make the gap like the SNP have in Scotland, in order for them to do so. So I can see them doing this, but they need to continue to push that in. Fairness for Wales. With the current government structures, Plaid Cymru will remove the enormity of the Secretary of State of Wales and transfer the remaining powers to the Welsh Government. Secretary of State acts as Westminster voice in Wales, not Wales's voice in Westminster. Wales is not junior to Westminster. We have our own democratic institutions, and we do not need a seat at the cabinet, table. There should instead be a duty of cooperation and a partly of esteem between the government within the UK. This will prevent UK government's overreach, stopping it from legislating and making decisions in Wales without the consent of the Welsh government or the seed. As part of that, the Serial Convention, under which legislates consent from Wales, is required for Westminster to act in devolved areas. It should be placed upon a statutory footing to prevent the UK from legislating in areas and devolved compliance. Current constraints of the Welsh government finances, including limiting places on the Welsh government powers to borrow and invest, should be removed. We will protect the seed powers through the Government of Wales devolved powers bills, which will require supermajorities of 2/3 of seed members for any reductions in power. Plaid Cymru supports the transfer of further powers from Westminster to the seed in a number of seats, including criminal justice, broadcasting, natural resources such as water and energy, railway infrastructure, the Crown Estate and welfare, and expect groups to be established to facilitate this process. We'll also transfer the powers to introduce gender quotas for seed elections. Now that seed in Wales has been increased to 96 members following the 2026 election, similar to 19 members in Northern Ireland Assembly and 129-member Scottish Parliament, we are better placed to initiate and scrutinise government once these additional powers are transferred. And finally, on this, further constitutional matters. Decisions around the distribution and further use of shared prosperity fund, which has replaced European structural funds, should be made by the Welsh government, not by the UK. Government at Westminster. Under the current conditional system, we would welcome the introduction of voting at 16 for Westminster and police and crime commissioner elections, as we already have in Wales for the city and local elections. At the same time, we would end voter suppression at elections recently introduced through the requirement of show voter ID at polling stations, and instead focus efforts on ensuring that all potential eligible voters are on the election roll. At UK elections, we would support proportional representation so that a great proportion of voters were used to elect representatives rather than wasted. We prefer the single transferable vote electoral system, and we will again push for this in Wales after the Sydney 2026 election. Plaid Cymru does not support the House of Lords, and we will continue to make a case for its abolishment. However, for the period for which that the institution has legislative power for Wales, we will continue to, as a party, to participate in debates there. Plaid Cymru would make it a criminal offence for elected politicians to knowingly mislead the public. It would make it an offence for an elected politician or candidate to intentionally mislead by making statements known to be false or discrepative. I like all that. I like all that. That's very good stuff. Very good stuff there by what Wales are saying there. Very, very good stuff. Rural affairs. Plaid Cymru has been on the side of Welsh farming as the sector has faced serious challenges from both the Conservatives at Westminster and Labour in Cardiff. So, fairness for our farmers. Their priority is to protect the future of our family farms, and they are the backbone of our rural economy. They shape our environment and sustain our communities and culture. Years of Tory economic chaos has contributed to huge rise in farm input costs, and in Westminster post-Brexit trade have allowed more cheap imports to undermine domestic markets. The Tories have also broken their promise of not a penny less in farm funding to Wales, leaving Wales hundreds of millions of pounds worse off. We will give Wales a veto over future trade deals that undermine Welsh agricultural communities. We have opposed Labour Sustainable Farming Scheme's proposal for 10% tree cover on all farming demands as a more flexible approach. We have also called for a reduction in the universal actions required to enter the scheme, as well as move away from the cost incurred income foregone funding model, which doesn't improve significant incentive for farmers to join the scheme, to one which recognises the social value of the agricultural sector to makes the Welsh language, culture and the local economy. Working with local farming unions and others, we succeeded in ensuring the plan that will now be delayed for a year and reviewed to ensure it works for the farming and for nature. Plaid Cymru's motion to scrap the NVZ, that's the Nutrient Vulnerable Zone Regulation, was narrowly defeated by in the seed. We have nevertheless secured a delay in their full implementation for at least next year. We have also secured £20 million funding to help farmers with infrastructure costs and persuaded the government to undertake a full review of the regulations. We support a more proportionate and sophisticated approach to water quality regulation, utilising updating technical innovations rather than a farmer by calendar approach. Plaid Cymru will also introduce a broader approach to tackling bovine TB, which includes controlling the disease in wildlife. In the face of increased threats from new and emerging animals and plants diseases, we also support steps in strengthening the UK's disease surveillance network, including protecting the UK scanning surveillance budget. More must be done to tackle dog attacks on livestock. We will support the reintroduction of livestock worrying legislation that the Conservative UK government has failed to complete in the last Parliament. We will look to introduce policies to improve transparency within the supply chain and strengthen the powers of the grocery adjudicator and more effectively tackle unfair supply chain practices. We will ensure that the food labelling accurately reflects the current country of origin, allowing consumers to choose that food that is Welsh and not just British that would make informal choices. I like that idea. There is an extensive element to food production in Wales. Too often our primary produce is exported to be processed elsewhere, meaning that we lose the added value that should be retained in our local economies. Plaid Cymru will continue to promote opportunities to develop local proceeds, capacities and use procurement policies to shorten our supply chain, cut food miles and create local jobs. We demand amendments to the shortage occupationary list to ensure primary producers in Wales have access to workforce required to support its industry. And then fairness to our rural economy. Living in rural areas can cost more than living in urban areas. While services are less easily available, our pledge to increase GPs in Wales will help communities access the healthcare they need. We will work to invest in local high streets to keep shops open. We will provide support to local communities and keep open important services such as pubs and community centres, which are under threat due to rising costs. Yeah, those are very important, obviously, in the local areas. We will ensure greater prominence and priority in rural areas to receive digital connections, taking a truly outside-in approach so that communities are not left waiting in order to access essential online services. Yes, this should be a priority as well. Plaid Cymru has previously called for the establishment of a Welsh broadband infrastructure company. We have also called for the UK government to release a project, a gigabit money, increasing the investment to tackle the very hard to reach areas or the total non-spots where there is no fast broadband or 4G signal at all. Bringing the timescale forward, we also push for more investment in alternative technology projects, especially in the very hard to reach areas, i.e. small cell projects, fixed wireless access. There has been a rise in rural crime in recent years, and we will work to create a specialist all-Wales rural crime team, seeking to recruit officers from the farming communities, building upon the work already done by police and crime commissioners in the North Wales and Dyfed Power Police Force areas. We have previously called for reconfiguration of the Rural Fuel Duty Relief Scheme, which, alongside existing parameters, takes into account access to local public transport networks and a guaranteed inclusion of Welsh areas within the scheme. We also supported being dubbed the 10p per litre, also being doubled to 10p per litre. We will insist on alternative measures to avoid unnecessary destruction of our beautiful countryside for large industrial scale solar farms and pylons. Communities should generally benefit from area developments in their areas rather than receive a pittance for extraction and use of our natural resources. We recognise that some renewable technology like heat pumps aren't suitable to rural properties. We could therefore support removing the tax on renewable liquid fuels or making them more affordable to rural households who want to reduce their home heating emissions in a non-disputive way. Hydro-treated vegetable oil is estimated to reduce carbon emissions by almost 90% compared to the existing heating oil. That's interesting stuff there. My apologies, guys. Voice is cracking up a bit because we've gone about an hour and 40 minutes in. Some interesting stuff there from rural communities. Obviously, can't speak too much on it, but obviously they want to ensure that they protect Welsh farms as much as possibly can. It is one of the very important backbones of their own economy there. So definitely in favour of obviously them looking after their rural communities. I'm just waiting for it to load again. I don't know why it's taking so long to load up there. Just while I wait for it to load, just want to say, guys, if you can financially support me and the work that I do here on the YouTube channel, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Being a YouTube member makes a massive difference, and it really does support the work that I do here. So whether that's 99p or $2.99 membership, you get access to custom emojis by doing so, as well as part of community posts. And also, whenever you comment on any of my videos as a YouTube member, you will always get a response from me on any of my videos as well. So thank you to anyone who's financially supporting me in either of those ways. If you are a $2.99 YouTube member, which is the Snowflake corporate level, you get early access to additional content there as part of the package of being a $2.99 member. So thank you to everyone who is a YouTube member. I greatly appreciate your support. Otherwise, you can financially support me as super chats or as well. Any of them I greatly appreciate as well. Or you can buy me a coffee. Link for that is in the description. And you could also support me on Patreon as well. Patreon.com/Reganelite. Links for all of these in the description. You get access to additional exclusive content on Patreon as well if you do decide to support me financially on there. So thank you to anyone who has supported me in any way. It is greatly appreciated. So guys, next up is Foreign Affairs and Defence. But I'm going to take a little break just to recover my voice a little bit because it is a little bit banged up, guys. I've not got too much left to cover, so I hope you guys enjoyed this funny video here. This one is from Rosie Holt here with hold on a second, it's not coming up. It's a bit weird here. Hold on, just one second. Hello. Let me just. There we go. For some reason, the description wasn't coming up. I thought I had it all set up for you guys. I do apologise. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this funny video from Rosie Holt here. Vote Tory, save the cat, she said. Let's see what her pledge is.
Hello, my name's MP Rosie Holt. A general election is fast upon us, and it is vital that you make the right decision.
We are going to cut taxes, lock up criminals and compassionately bundle people onto planes to Rwanda. I've been busy knocking on doors and talking to people, but all
Oh dear, what's going on here? I think I'm having internet issues. Oh, that's a shame. Well, that's not a good timing. Oh, that's a real shame. That's not good. That's not good. Well, I've lost internet as I'm doing this. Thank God this wasn't a live stream. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to carry on for you guys. Yeah, apologies, guys. I can't edit this out or anything, so I'm just going to have to leave it as it is. Hopefully, the internet will come back on, and I will come back to that. Hopefully, it'll come back soon, guys. I really hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to be very, very upset indeed. Just give me 1 second. Oh, looks like the internet's come back. Hold on. All this faffing about is not necessary. Let's try this again. Let's see if it'll play this time in full. The internet looks like it's come back.
Hello, my name's MP Rosie Holt. A general election is fast upon us, and it is vital that you make the right decision.
We are going to cut taxes, lock up criminals, and compassionately bundle people onto planes to Rwanda. I've been busy knocking on doors and talking to people, but also having fun along the way.
One of my constituents made this for me. Yeah, it's just a bit of fun, but you can buy it.
You need to ask yourselves, do you agree with Labour that foreign criminals should be allowed to kill again on our shores?
Or do you agree with Labour that people with children at private schools and cats should be taxed? Looks like they're going to have to give you up, little guy. Sorry.
On the 3rd and 4th of July at 7 p.m, I will be at Soho Theatre, London, reaching out to voters to remind them why they should vote Conservative.
Come along, for the sake of the country. Vote Conservative. Vote for the plan.
She's so good. People generally think she's a Conservative MP. She's not. She's just so good at pretending to be one. She's absolutely brilliant, guys. Oh, gotta give her credit where credit is due. Rosie Holt there. Do check out her YouTube channel at Rosie Holt as well. And if you got a chance to go and visit her at the theatre, please do. You will not be disappointed. You will be entertained by her. She's absolutely wonderful person as well. So, guys, we've got got just a couple more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we've got a couple more to go through, guys. So obviously we are going to hit the over 2-hour mark. So let's dive into it. So foreign affairs and defence. I'm not going to read that bit. I'm just going to go straight into it, guys. So, international law. Plaid Cymru supports upholding of international law and organisations that maintain international law, such as the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. Governments and countries cannot pick and choose their own international rules, which allows their self-interest. I should actually just show this here. So, if you guys want to have a read of this, you're more than welcome to do so as well. My apologies. Normally, I leave that squared up. So, if you guys want to read that, you're more than welcome to. The conflict in Gaza. Plaid Cymru has been consistent in calling for a peaceful ceasefire in Gaza, release all hostages and negotiate an end to the conflict. Our motion calling for immediate ceasefire in November 23 was passed by Sadi. We recognise the state of Palestine as an essential step towards the peace of our region. Obviously, they're the state exactly what many people. I'm not going to read all of this, but if you want to have a read, you more can. Strongest possible terms about what Israel are doing over there. This is all about the Gaza situation. They also support a ban on all arms sales to the state of Israel as well there, and I think that's really good. They demand that all the UK government enforces all decisions made by the International Criminal Court as well there. They opposed and voted against the economic activities of public bodies that oversee matters. And my phone just pinged. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine. The conflict in Ukraine is now more than 2 years. Plaid Cymru believes in Ukraine's national sovereignty and the right of Ukrainians to live in peace and must be upheld. Believe that Ukraine has the right to defend itself from aggregate attacks and invasions. Don't think anything more to add on that. I think they're pretty much with us. Everyone's in support of that. So Plaid Cymru supports peaceful and negotiating outcomes of all conflicts. We believe that our CDs should be consulted before decisions are made by the UK government to engage in military action. We believe that the UK government should withhold licenses to sell arms to countries which have poor human rights records and where there is credible evidence to suggest that they will be used for repression in their own populations or in violations of international law. There should be a review into the arms export and control systems. It's a clear statement of intent to withdraw from the international arms trade supply trade. Plaid Cymru opposes the Trident nuclear weapons and its renewable, which is estimated to cost more than £200 billion, and supports the United Nations Treaty on the provision of nuclear weapons. We oppose increased defence spending and believe that if defence spending is required, it would be better use on conventional defence and to peaceful ends rather than weapons of mass destruction. Veterans require sustainable, improved support upon leaving armed services and returning to civilian life. Plaid Cymru calls for an independent review of the medical discharge process and introduction of an income disregard for the war, pensions and armed forces comprehension scheme so that they aren't considered as income for the purposes of benefits and choices. Yeah, I do think more needs to be done to ensure that veterans are looked after in any way, shape or form. Plaid Cymru supports the United Nations target for countries to spend 0.7% on international aid and calls on the next UK government to reiterate that commitment as a matter of urgency. This funding should be used for international recognising aid purposes. 100%. Wales has an international identity and international recognition nation, despite being poorly supported by the UK's representation in other countries. Wales is also home to citizens with birthplaces throughout the world, so we welcome international governments openly, consul generals and consul in Cardiff or elsewhere in Wales. Welsh citizens and those of Welsh descent continue to have a global impact. Plaid Cymru will invest in developing and improving links with the Welsh diaspora internationally and nutrition relationships with others who have built links through Wales through education, culture and business. Yep. Then that's everything on foreign affairs and defence there. So migration and asylum. Plaid Cymru strongly opposes the Conservative government's proposals and attitude towards asylum seekers and refugees, including deportation to Rwanda and the general hostile environment created. We believe that the UK should uphold its commitments made when it signed up to the Refugee Treaty in 1951. We believe that the UK government has undermined that commitment through their failure to provide safe routes for asylum seekers and by deliberately failing to process claims quickly, effectively and humanely, leading to deaths at sea and unnecessary misery among already vulnerable people seeking safety. Effective management of the asylum process would allow processing to take place prior to reaching the UK and in third countries such as France or British embassies or consulates abroad. The creation of an online program which shows an indicator of a likely outcome of asylum application will also help to manage this process. We recognise that there has been an increase in major conflicts during the past decade, including those in Syria, Afghanistan, Ukraine and Gaza, which have globally increased the number of displaced people. You can add Sudan, Myanmar to that list as well, are still happening as well. We believe that those affected by conflicts or through persecution in their home countries are deserving of our help and support. Once here, we believe the responsibility for asylum seekers and diaspora should be proportionate across the UK. We support family reunification schemes for those caught up within the conflict in Gaza, a clear right to return to their homeland when possible to do so. Wales should have the power and resources to make good on our pledge to become a nation of sanctuary. We were disappointed by Labour's recent removal of the welcome ticket in Wales, which allowed free transport for refugees on public transport. We oppose the Conservative proposal to increase the skilled worker and family visa threshold and fee increases. We support the Migration Advisory Committee recommendations that the graduate route visa be retained. We are concerned that the current proposals will detrimentally affect universities, including those in Bangor and Abu CY, with a knock-on effect on local communities where universities are major employers. We will support the repeal of the previous punctuality legislation, which is part of the Hostile Environment, including the Nationality and Borders Act 2022 and Illegal Migration Act 2023. We believe there should be changes within the system, including the ending of no resources to public funds clause and restrictions on employment while awaiting decisions, both of which unnecessarily force people into poverty rather than providing support. Plaid Cymru supports the UK's supports the UK remembering a member of the European Courts of Human Rights. We support maintaining the human rights where we collectively hold. We believe that similar to Quebec and Canada, Wales should have greater powers over migration, including the ability to determine our own shortage occupation list and granting the Welsh Government ability to manage its own visa scheme. Migrants play an important role in our society, contributing to many occupations, including social care and healthcare in particular. Their contributions should be welcomed rather than criticised. And the problem is, guys, the narrative is being painted. That's the problem with migration and asylum, but that's what they have on that. 4 more left, guys. Transport. Plaid Cymru demands that Wales receive £4 billion of transfer funding, which is entitled to under the Barrett formula for money spent by the UK government on which HS2, which is clearly an England-only project. So we've got quite a few here. We believe that now that rail infrastructure should be devolved to Wales as it is in Scotland and Northern Ireland, allowing rail infrastructure planning for Wales to be decided in Wales. Only 1% of UK government capital spend is on railways in Wales, reflecting both currently and historical underspend. While London and major cities in Scotland were connected by electrified railways more than 50 years ago, it is only in the past decade that Wales have had a single mile of electrified track. With 400 billion additional funding, we could rejuvenate our railways and transport systems, including properly connecting North and South Wales for the first time within Wales. Reopening major railway lines closed under bleaching, electrifying the North West Wales main line, improving existing railway services, and increasing improved services west of Swansea. To do that, Wales will need an ambitious travel plan that also considers Wales transport connections in South Wales Valley and others in Wales which do not have existing rail connections, including by the use of tram and light rail. Yep, I definitely agree. They should be allowed to, like Scotland and Northern Ireland, they should be able to decide for themselves on that. Don't have any issue with that with themselves. They know their country better than those in Westminster. Nationalising our public transport service. On both a Welsh and UK level, we believe that the railway should be renationalised and so its act on our uses rather than our shareholders and allowance for greater alignment of service. We'd also favour the renationalisation of major bus services, which would seek to integrate bus and rail services so that they work for the benefit of passengers. We believe that bus routes should be determined by the needs of passengers, not only what is commercially attractive to private countries as a first step, but stopping the regulation of buses. Oh, there, just checking the mic is working. I'm getting, just turning that off just because it's getting me even more hotter in here, guys. Yeah, more nationalisation. Let more nationalisation is much better here. In the context of climate change and changing people's transport habits, public transport services in Wales must be sufficient quality to encourage people to use them, which means frequency of service reliability and being on time and high quality uses so they feel safe and comfortable. New housing development in Wales, around Wales needs to show that they have sufficient future proof for growth in public transport, both in terms of generating and responding to demands. Yep, I have no problem with that. Yep, next one, please. Thank you. Supporting our bus service. Bus services have been underfunded by Labour Welsh Government following COVID, leading to major cuts in the past year. In particular, there is an issue in more rural parts of the country where local bus services are already infrequent, often finishing early in the day. We'll review the cuts in subsidies to bus companies that have led to service cuts that already make it difficult for people to go to work, shop or catch up with friends by bus. This includes services such as flexible on-demand BWCA bus in Cambridgeshire, Cardigan and Pembrokeshire. And we will continue to support the Plaid Cymru network, which links communities where rail connections do not exist. Yeah, connections obviously needs. I don't think anyone has an issue with that. We will keep our older people's bus pass in Wales and investigate similar schemes for young people, encouraging them to get used to public transport whenever they are in Wales as well. Passenger safety. I don't think I need to add anything more of that. I think everybody wants to include more passenger safety there, but I'll leave that there if anyone wants to have a read. Just pause the video. Active travel, as well as investing in public transport, more actual active travel options have been provided to be able to persuade people to make less use of cars. Yeah, so this is where this here, if they want to obviously support air clean air zones as well and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that's totally fine. Obviously, if they want, it's a bit difficult. Obviously, this is where the public transport needs to be, more public transport needs to be done if they want to get less people off the road as well for that active travel. Finally, for transport, road safety. Road safety, crucial part of daily life, whether it's a driver or passenger. Unfortunately, many accidents on the road due to carelessness driving. We will identify roads which have high and anticipated numbers of accidents and work with local governments and Welsh Government, whichever is responsible to make changes to make them safer and reduce accidents. This can include additional signage, changes to road layouts, and Wales investment in average speed cameras. While Plaid Cymru supports the principle of the introduction of 20 mile per hour speed zone across roads in Wales in order to reduce the number of accidents and life-changing injuries, We believe that it's poorly implemented by the Welsh Labour government. We support a review to ensure that it's working successfully across Wales and reducing dangerous driving in urban areas. Lessons must be learnt to ensure that the public understand the changes are being made in local decision making. Plaid Cymru will consider what other powers can be used to improve driver behaviour, particularly of younger drivers who are substantially shown to be involved in greater number of traffic collisions. And that is everything on travel, which I think everyone's perfectly happy with. Next up here is culture, media and sport. We've got this and the Welsh language and equalities, guys. So we're pretty much going 2 hours plus here. I'm not going to read all this. If you want to read this bit, you can read that about culture and sport and looking after its culture and all that kind of stuff, which there. So first up, bank holidays. Wales has the fewest number of bank holidays in Europe and no power over when those bank holidays take place. Plaid Cymru believes the power to decide bank holidays in Wales should be in the hands of the Seed, and that our national day, St David's Day, should be a bank holiday in Wales on the 1st of March each year. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know why this is an issue. I don't know why they can't decide for themselves on bank holidays. I don't know why we can't give them that power. This is just, I don't have any issue with that. Free-to-air sporting events. While I recognise the benefit of investment in broadcasting companies in many sports, the increase in subscription service has priced many people out of being able to watch their choice of entertainment and may contribute to reduce uptake sports. Plaid Cymru believes that sporting events of national importance to Wales, such as the Six Nations, should remain free-to-air television. I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. I'm not going to sit on the fence on that one. And returning to Welsh artefacts to Wales, a number of important and significant Welsh artefacts are held outside Wales, such as the Mould Gold Cape and the Mould Hellbox Shield as part of the portrait of John Lussamin. Plaid Cymru believes these should be returned to Wales and used in a way which benefits the nation from which they originate, rather than being held elsewhere. We believe that this principle applies to other artefacts which were removed from the original country and are now hosted elsewhere. That's perfectly understandable. Perfectly understandable, that is. Devolution of broadcasting. They support the devolution of broadcasting powers to Wales, introducing the power to regulate, oversee and secure accountability of broadcasters and communications within Wales. We want to see the establishment of an independent broadcasting authority to Western Sands. See no reason why the government of SS4C should be in the hands of Westminster rather than democratically elected representative in Wales. Again, I don't have a problem with this, but we know that they won't give that because we know what they would push more for Welsh independence if they were given that power, which is what we know they wouldn't want to give that. Promoting access to the arts, culture and heritage. Plaid Cymru believes that the arts are for everyone and that every organisation should continue to provide greater support and opportunities for everybody and to engage with them and participate, irrespective of their background. This requires partnership between stakeholders and foster relationships between local-based cultural activities and our national institutions. Wales should be a host to high-quality cultural organisations which celebrate our history and heritage and reflect our realities in life in Wales. There should be no reason to sacrifice quality in order to ensure access for all. We remain committed to the policy of free entry of our national museums. We also work with the URDD and the Esselfold, I can't say that word, sorry, Cymru, to ensure free tickets are available for low-income families. Exploring them with this can be expanded in future years. We'll support better promotion for Welsh culture and heritage, including the Football Museum for Wales in Wrexham and the National Gallery of Contemporary Art. Yep, happy with all that kind of stuff. Welsh Freelanders Funds, as proposed in our seeded manifesto, investigate and Welsh Freelanders support our creative sector. We will apply lessons learnt from the basic income from the art scheme in the Republic of Ireland, which has just reported success in its first years of operation. Okay. Representation at Eurovision. Okay. Nothing. I don't really have anything to add on that. We will continue to fund sport Wales to promote participation in community sport as well as elite level. Look forward to Wales hosting the Under-19 Men's International Tournament and hosting the opening of Euros 2028 in Cardiff. We support the creation of Welsh Men's International Cricket Team as well. That's cool. No, nothing really to add to that. Playing sports and participating in arts and culture is a significant part of our well-being, recognising the positive effects it has on individuals and communities. We will promote participation and engagement. Look forward to cross-government sourcing, well-being. Yep. No, nothing really to add on to that. Cultural tourism, promote cultural heritage of reflecting our linguistic and cultural diversity. Yep, no problem with that. And finally, Creative Europe. Although Wales is not a member of the European Union, we examine how we can participate and benefit from the International Creative European Programme that aims to safeguard, develop and promote European cultural and linguistic diversity and heritage and to increase the economic potential of the cultural and creative sector. Very good stuff, very good stuff. Nothing really to add really to there. Okay, we've got just, there's only one piece here. The Welsh language. So Wales is a bilingual nation where Welsh and English are both official languages. Enabling access to the Welsh language for all is vital to allow everybody in Wales to take advantage of the economic and employment opportunities and participate in all aspects of Welsh culture. However, for the Welsh language to thrive, we need to ensure that it is used on a daily basis in all spheres across Wales, in the home, in the workplace and when socialising. Powers to act on the Welsh language are devolved. Plaid Cymru continues to commit to raising the status and allocate additional funding for Prosperous 2050 to create a million Welsh speakers by 2050. As a central part of government, he will be able to influence and guide policy decisions across all departments. This will include ensuring Welsh for all through the education system, support the adult learners for Welsh, supporting Metro Ilif and Welsh language hubs, and promote social activities in Welsh and mental Donegal Cymru to make sure that all digital media developments and recognise the response to the requirements for Welsh provisions. We believe there should be a Welsh Language Education Act, working towards the universal Welsh medium education. Working closely with local authorities, we ensure that if target for Welsh medium education improvements are missed, the cause is established and action is taken to rectify failings. We'll ensure that all children have access to quality Welsh language teaching to enable them to achieve fluency through their school life. To do this, we will provide targets for increasing number of percentage of subjects taught through the medium of Welsh in schools, currently teaching mainly through English, as recommended by Professor Sion Davis in her 2013 report, One Language for All. We will promote an increase in Welsh medium and art provisions and activity, and will develop the career pathway in its arts in the Welsh language, and will continue to develop Welsh language services in healthcare, particularly in mental health, so that patients can receive care in their language of choice. We will improve the rights of the Welsh language by extending the Welsh language standards into the private sector, including banks, car parks and supermarkets, as well as the Crown other bodies that are responsibility of the UK government. Completely, totally happy with this. It is their language, it is their culture, and it should be equal. Absolutely. So last one, guys, is equalities here. So equalities, starting with women. Plaid Cymru supports compassion for women who have been neglectly impacted by the changes in the pension provision, as highlighted by the Women's Against State Pension Equality Campaign, the WASPI. We support compensation payment of at least level 5 of the Ombudsman scale for all 1950 women pensions are affected, amounting between 3,000 and 999. For some reason I can't say that. 9,950. There we go. We have supported gender quotas as part of our reform to our Sadid and ensuring that women are ensured representation in decision making at the highest level in Wales. This is really good. I really like this. I like what their manifesto is saying. If I'm honest, guys. LGBTQ+. During recent years, we have seen the Conservative UK government attempt to sow division within society by creating a series of so-called culture wars which uses real people and real people's lives experience against them. We believe that there should be the highest respect for all people and communities. We reaffirm our commitments to ensure that LGBTQ+ voices and experiences are heard, and we will continue to actively promote LGBTQ+ rights. We will promote LGBTQ+ inclusion through society, including all workplace and participation in sport, as part of a broader effort towards healthier lifestyle. Plaid Cymru would also end the so-called conversion therapy practice relating to sexuality and gender identity. We are concerned by the rise of hate crime in recent years perpetrated against the LGBTQ+ community, in particular transphobia, and needs to see this tackled by our police forces. Similarly, as part of our community's outreach efforts, we would expect the police to be promoting positively, reaffirming trust-building links with all minority sectors of society, attending local pride events and community diversity events. We will continue to fight for equalities for trans people, having secure reoccurring funding for the Welsh Gender Identity Clinic so that people can receive support here in Wales rather than just travelling to London. We will work to improve the provisions and ensure timely access to its service and support. Plaid Cymru will seek the powers to present the seed with a proposal for simplified demedicalised gender self-identification system. Black, Asian minority, ethnic people. Plaid Cymru abhors racism in all its forms. We recognise that people from the global majority are structurally disadvantaged and proactive steps need to be taken to tackle and dismantle this structural racism. In fields such as criminal justice, youth justice, recruitment, progression for education, healthcare and mental health, minority ethnic groups continue to face unacceptable direct and indirect discrimination. We support research into the barriers that communities face in accessing healthcare and to combat these, addressing structural and institutional racial discrimination and Islamophobia where present. Diversity makes for a richer Wales that can enable communities to be represented and understood. All public-faced organisations should consider their recruitment practice to remove these barriers and ensure that they are represented in various communities and understand their issues and concerns. We support the Anti-Racist Wales Action Plan, that's ARWAP, and will work to ensure that it's implemented effectively and measurably. Yep, all good stuff. Neurodiversity in the criminal justice system. We will provide better support for the people with ADHD transitioning throughout the prison system and upon leaving. This includes training for all prison staff in ADHD awareness and appropriate medication care plans, and ensure access to safe housing tailored with local mental health and probation support. Yep, totally good with that. Where are we? Yep. Last one. Disability. We will adopt the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Disabled People into UK law to ensure accessibility at all. This was ratified by the UK in 2009, but never introduced into law. We will achieve this by working with the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, disabling people's organisations, disabling people's charities, and disabled people themselves throughout the UK. The voices of disabled people will be at the core of this policy to ensure full employment by persons with disabilities with daily life with dignity, their human rights, their fundamental freedoms from poverty, social exclusion, discrimination, and negligence. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Plaid Cymru Party of Wales' manifesto for 2024. So, what did I think of the... I may do a funny video before we see ourselves out. So what do I think of the... Sorry, I just need to do setup out. So what do I think of the manifesto? I thought it was very good. There was some very good stuff there. I definitely felt like... and I have to remember, you have to take this. This is an Englishman's perspective looking on the outside of what Plaid Cymru are introducing to the people of Wales here. They want to bring, understandably so, they want to take a lot of the they want to have more control of things. They cannot control things that they want to be able to control within Wales. They want more of those controls on assets, and that's totally understandable, and I'm totally in agreement with that. There are some things, obviously, some changes that they can make. I didn't really see anything that made me say, you know what, that's a really bad idea. I didn't see anything in this manifesto that screamed to me, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Nothing really like that. At all. I mean, I felt a lot of similarities to this with the Greens manifesto. I felt some similarities with the Liberal Democrats manifesto in terms of things, but obviously pushing towards that independence, what they want in the long term. That's what we want to drive down. There's a lot of things there that I think a lot of things that they want. I just don't see them getting from Westminster. But overall, I would say, sitting on the outside of having read it, guys, I think it's a very good manifesto. I think it's a very good one that comes across to the people, comes across as a people manifesto. There's obviously a lot for me to learn about Welsh politics, but honestly, what I'd like to know from those who have spent the 2+ hours going through this is, what do you guys honestly think of Plaid Cymru and the Party of Wales and what they are introducing to the people of Wales? I think that's a question I'd like you guys to answer in the comment section down below, because I think this is a very good manifesto. And I generally hope it comes through to people, but unfortunately, people don't always go through and read these read these from word for word. And while there are some bits, obviously, I did jump over a little bit, but I thought I thought it was very good. I thought it was a very good manifesto, and I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And I think if they continue down this path, perhaps down the road, perhaps there may be more of a talk of independence. Perhaps they will get more in the future, more control in the future. But time will tell, obviously. It's about, obviously, them continuing to work on a local level and pushing their, not just about what says in manifesto, but more about word to mouth as well. But we'll see how things go. But what did you guys think? What did you guys make of this manifesto? What did you guys make of some of the key policies and key aspects of it? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts on what you thought of this manifesto. I will try to timestamp it for you guys as well as possible to make it easier for you guys. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. But just before you guys go, if you can, for me, it would be greatly appreciated. Please hit the like button. It'd be greatly appreciated. Share it across social media so others are notified of this video. And subscribe, because it really does help support the channel. And if you want to go one step further, financially support me and the work that I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p. Or join me on Rumble or Patreon for exclusive content on those platforms. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.